President Obama is taking fire from newly empowered Republicans on seemingly every front, including national security. Their complaint, he's made the country less safe, specifically when it comes to interrogating terrorists.
One congressman in particular plans on challenging the president on this issue and has the platform to do it. Michigan Congressman Mike Rogers is chair of the House Intelligence Committee, which oversees the vast intelligence community.
Chairman Rogers joins us tonight from Washington. Welcome. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it being here.
Representative Rogers, you've been critical that our interrogators or our debriefers, however you want to put it, are limited to only 19 techniques. So what would 20 look like? I mean, what specifically are we talking about?
Well, and let me give you a great example on this, because it's a great question. The Army Field Manual says you can't do certain things, and I'll give you an example. I can't go into a cell of somebody who is a foreign-born terrorist overseas and tell them, I'm going to make your life miserable, I'm going to get you the worst prison in the world, and by the way, all your friends are ratting you out, and you're in a lot of trouble, nothing good is going to happen to you. That is prohibited in the Army Field Manual. An FBI agent does it every single day in every city in America.
What does that mean?
No sense whatsoever.
You can't even say mean things? Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, it's psychological intimidation. You can't use it in the Army Field Manual. Why? Because it was designed for enemy combatants in a very old concept of good guys versus bad guys in the battlefield. It doesn't fit this construct that we have when you're talking about terrorists who have no nation state.
So you're not talking about waterboarding?
No, gosh, no. I'm talking about the simple technique, literally, of me walking in saying, hey, Kathleen, I got you. I'm going to put you in jail. I've got so much evidence you're going to go to jail tomorrow for 200 years. You better start cooperating with me. You can't do that. You're not allowed to lie to them and misrepresent to them and use psychological techniques under the Army Field Manual. It's contradictory to what we do right here in the United States.
Would you support waterboarding? Is that something?
No, I think waterboarding is off the table. I don't think we ought to even have that as a part of the discussion. I think it distorts what is happening, and unfortunately, I think that is what got us so far away from what are good, lawful techniques in the United States used by FBI agents that we ought to allow case officers, CIA case officers overseas to use as well.
Congressman, I got to push you on that example a little bit. I'm not doubting you. I'm not an expert on the Army Manual and what it does and does not preclude, but I agree with you certainly. That sort of statement that to a defendant, somebody who's being interrogated, look, your friends are ratting you out, you're the last one hanging, you'd better cooperate with us. Standard, routine, run-of-the-mill interrogation technique.
I'm sure you've used it.
Well, I don't want to reveal my techniques, but let me just say that it is something certainly that is done on a regular basis.
And you just said yourself, and that's why I think this is so important, and how I think this thing got distorted, and I think cooler heads can prevail. You said, I wouldn't reveal my techniques on how I get bad guys to cooperate. I agree with you 100%, but here's what we did. We gave the whole world, including terrorists, our playbook. We said, here are the things that we will do to you. The FBI doesn't do that. U.S. prosecutors don't do that. They wouldn't do that. I would think it would be bad law enforcement if they did that. But we did it with the Army Field Manual. And my point is, that has consequences.
I want to come to a different issue. The Director of National Intelligence, Mr. Clapper, clearly had sort of a brain freeze the other day, was unaware of the arrests over in London. I think, that is perhaps an example of a larger problem, however. Do you think that structure with him as the Director of National Intelligence is working? This was, of course, the primary recommendation of the 9/11 Commission.
Sure, and it was put in place under Bush. Here's what I think happened. The intention of the Office of the Director of National Intelligence was to be a coordinating body, saying, okay, CIA, you need to play well with the FBI, FBI, you need to play well with the National Security Agency, and you're all going to share information where it's appropriate. That is not a huge operation, but it's an important one. You just have to have the authority to do it. And what happened was, and the exact number is still classified, the DNI is exponentially larger than it was ever intended to be. It has become a huge bureaucratic, I argue, hurdle in the function of the matters of intelligence. They're not supposed to recruit spies. They're not supposed to do great briefing papers. They're supposed to be a coordinating body. And what happens is it assumed this bigger, larger role. Every year they ask for more people, more money. And what happens is, and I think you saw that, the DNI is really supposed to be, I argued, the Maytag repairman of the Intelligence Committee, community. He was supposed to be telling us this is what the overhead architecture should look like in 10 years. This is the mundane important but mundane administrative issues of the intelligence community, that stuff gets lost to this operational sense that they've assumed. And I think we've really got to ask some very hard questions if that hasn't become a hurdle instead of a benefit to the intelligence community.
Well, are you going to have hearings on this issue with sort of the outcome being that you recommend we get rid of the position, scale it back, put the director of the CIA in charge as the top intelligence official, something that obviously the directors of the CIA have wanted for many years?
Yeah, I mean, and it may be a hybrid of that. I still believe that there is a coordinating function that can be incredibly valuable to the intelligence community, to be the mediator, if you will, to some of the disagreements. And remember, it's huge, 17 of them, huge budgets, huge mission scopes, very talented people, and sometimes you're going to bump into each other. I'm sure you both have kind of have some sense of that, and even in a local police department or the FBI and the DEA happens. You need somebody with some stature to fix that problem. So I think that is absolutely still a viable option. It's how we get there, and can you scale it back to do that particular function? That, I think, is the question. But we're going to do it through hearings, through vetting. We're going to ask really hard questions, and as we should, and I think Americans expect us to. And hopefully, at the end of the day, we get back to an organization that's actually helpful and not getting in the way.
All right, well, we have tried not to torture you, Representative Mike Rogers.
It wasn't too bad.
Thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks.
Coming up, part 2 of my